Whoa, that's like really dark. Really weird. I wanted to do story time, so I'm going to do a story time. I decided I wanted to do story times. I have 2 channels. One I'm not doing anything with, so I decided to make it my story time channel. So here's my first story time. This one happened, I'm 34 now, it happened when I was 22. I went to the ER and I was having shunt malfunction symptoms. I knew this what it was. I was 22 at the time. It's old enough to know what's going on with your body. If you've been through it multiple times throughout your life, you know when something's happening. Mom took me. She usually was the one who took me to the ER. Still is. And of course I got one of the residents as my doctor. I don't do very well with residents. We don't mesh very well. They always think they know everything, that you don't know anything, and they just don't take your feelings into consideration. At least the ones I've encountered. There's probably ones out there that are pretty good. Just not the ones I've encountered. But anyway, they decided they needed blood. So they had somebody come in and she was trying to get blood drawn. And I don't know if they were trying to do an IV too, maybe do some antibiotics through the IV. I can't remember. But they were trying to get the needle in one of my arms somehow, and they weren't having much success, which is not uncommon with me. My veins are teeny tiny and they roll and they're deep, and sometimes you'll get it in and they'll be like, yay, we got the needle in, we can put the IV together and then the vein blows. So she's trying to get blood, and I've got a major headache due to the shunt malfunction that was going on. And for me, it feels like one of those medieval torture machine thingies. It's like squeezing your head. That's how I've always described it. So then, of course, somebody's registered me and asked me all the questions already, and has obviously recorded all these answers that I've given them to all the questions. But the doctor comes in and asks me all the questions again, and he starts out fine. And allergies, what's going on, what's the situation, my medical history, blah blah blah. And then he asked me my age, which honestly is kind of odd. I don't think they usually ask that past registration. But he asked me and I said, oh, I'm 22. And then he continued to ask me questions, and then he asks me again, how old are you? And I answered, I said, I'm 22. I was very confused at that point. I'm like, you've already asked me twice, which is odd to ask once in the first place. For the doctor, I mean. And at this point, I should add that I'm not like bawling my eyes out, but I have tears because my head feels like it's being squeezed, and I'm being poked multiple times with a needle while he's asking me these questions. So yeah, there's tears coming out of my face. I could have been wailing. I could have been bawling my eyes out, but I wasn't. I was trying to be calm so that she could get the blood that she needed, which I believe she eventually did. Which was great because then I could just focus on not tensing up. And it dawns on me, he's asking me because he doesn't think that I should have been crying at that age. That I guess I should be sucking it up or whatever, which technically I was. I could have been way more emotional than what I was being. I was trying to be a good patient. I looked over at my mom and we had some sort of mind meld situation go on, and she realized what was happening and directed the questioning towards her. And it was insane. I could not believe that's what he was doing. But it was weird for him to ask me one time, much less 2 more times, for my age. It was just odd. But yeah, that was what happened then. I don't remember anything past that. Just that me and Mom were like on the same wavelength as soon as I looked at her. Like, this dude is asking me my age multiple times because he thinks that I should not be crying. I am sorry, but I am I was in a lot of pain. I had every right to be a little emotional, at the least. Like I said, it was just tears coming down my face. I wasn't like full on bawling my eyes out or kicking my legs or anything like that. Cursing out the nurse, which I would never do. I don't curse. So, yeah, that was the first story time I thought of when I thought of doing this for this channel. Yeah, me and residents, we do not do well together. They're usually just not very nice to me. Usually in that situation, if I'm there, like, if I'm at the ER on like a Friday evening, they want to get rid of me. They want to go home for the weekend, which I get. But they'll usually send me to X-ray, and they'll see that, oh, your ventricles are just a little dilated. That's all. You can go home. Or they'll say it's just a UTI, and they'll send me home on antibiotics, and I'm usually back within like 2 days, which means the whole weekend has passed by, which means somebody's got to take off of work. My parents have got to take off of work to take me back and say, hey, you were wrong. And now she's worse. So yeah, that's my first story time. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.